Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about faith, which is something we love talking about. But this week has been so wild with real racism, real injustice, real pain and hurt. So why talk about faith? Well, in that Salvation Army manual that a lot of us have been reading, it says that to be without faith is to be without ground of hope for the future. And man, we are in a time that we need hope for the future. And to be without faith in this time would be to be without that hope. And the story that I really want to dive into is the story of the Roman centurion in Matthew 8. I'm going to read from the Passion Translation. Starting in verse 5, it says, "When Jesus entered the village of Capernaum, a captain in the Roman army approached him, asking for a miracle. 'Lord,' he said, 'I have a son who is lying in my home, paralyzed and suffering terribly.' Jesus responded, 'I will go with you and heal him.'" That is the kindness of Jesus. But the Roman officer interjected, "Lord, who am I to have you come into my house? I understand your authority. For I too am a man who walks under authority and have authority over soldiers who serve under me. I can tell one to go and he'll go. I can tell one to come and he'll come. So I know that all you need to do is stand here and command healing over my son, and he will be instantly healed." Wow, that is a real level of faith. It blows my mind. There's a handful of points I want to point out here. And one is that the centurion knew the authority of Jesus. This man was not a disciple. He was not walking with Jesus day in and day out. And that takes an immense level of intentionality to know and to believe the things about Jesus that he's heard, to believe them. And I think it's safe to say that the people around him weren't following Jesus, that weren't walking and operating in that same level of faith and trust. But he knew that he can go to Jesus and that Jesus would heal him. The next thing is that his response, of course, was because he knew the authority of Jesus, but he knew that authority was even over sickness. He said, "Just say the words and I know he'll be healed." That's so wild. The centurion didn't give in to hopelessness of sickness, which he could have. But he knew that Jesus had authority over the principles and the spirit behind sickness. And of course, this man knew the concept of authority. He said, I have people under me that if I say come, they'll come. If I say go, they'll go. He understood authority from man to man, but he knew Jesus was so much more. He knew Jesus didn't just have authority over man. He had authority over sickness. And this is the same Jesus that has authority over the same principles today, over sickness, over sin, over injustices, over racism. That the centurion knew that if he partnered with Jesus in faith, that something would change. And we have that same invitation today. That same Jesus who has real authority, that we can partner with him in faith, and that will be the ground of hope for a future. Even in our nation right now, this week, in real pain, in systemic and personal injustice, this topic of faith is so simple, but if it is the ground of hope for the future, then I think we all want it to keep being our foundation. And of course, all of this is so inspiring. We all want more faith. This is just so wild. But what God's really been speaking to me is how the centurion let faith guide his action. Let faith guide him into action. And if the level that we have faith for something really is the level that we're going to act and respond, it's true. And if that's the case, then I want to be people who have wild faith that Jesus actually does have authority, so that we can come and respond with that same level of faith. That's why the centurion was moved to action. That's why he went out of his way to go to Jesus specifically. And I think we all know this in other areas of Christianity. Do I believe that the gospel will save people? Oh, then I'm going to share it. But do we have faith that the gospel is a solution to injustice, solution to racism? Oh, then I'm going to move forward in action and faith with that. And one way that I've been really stirred to do that is actually today there's a fast starting. Victoria posted it in the group me of Isaiah 58 fast, which is epic. But we're pressing in because we know Jesus has authority over these things. So we are going to press in and respond. Press into that authority. Press into Jesus because he's the one that we have faith in for a solution. And so as we're wrapping up here, just a last couple little tidbits that we can pull from this story of this man's faith. And that is one, that he had a deep understanding of the heart of God. the heart of God in sickness and injustice. The centurion knew that if I just go to Jesus, Jesus is going to respond. He understood that Jesus was a man moved by compassion, that if sickness is there, that Jesus was going to do something about it. And that compassion and character is what drives this. And that compassion and character is the same today. And the last thing is that he was fueled by knowing that Jesus was the only one that could save his son. Understanding that the solution to sin, to sickness, to injustice, really is the gospel of Jesus that drives us to pressing into Jesus and his authority. So the invitation really is this, that we get to press into that level of faith with Jesus, that level of understanding, that we just want to set the stage with this deep level of faith in our lives, and our level of response as followers of Jesus is going to match. And knowing that this is the man, this is what we've given our lives to. And so I'm so excited to all just keep pressing into faith. I know it's something that we all want and that applies today. Have a great day, guys.